A huge shout out to the overthinkers. An overthinker. He watches the show.
To the overthinkers, shout out my friend too.
All of our faith, this is Parker here. Thank you, overthinkers.
Keep inspiring the next generation.
Shout out to the overthinkers. Tando Pela. Much love.
To my overthinkers, mamela ubuchopho ngeke buphume buyakhula nizinja nikhokho yazini as overthink siya overachieve.
I'm stealing that. I've stolen that one. I've stolen it.
Welcome everybody to the Overthinking Football Show. My name is Mokwena. I am your host, and this is the place where we absolutely love South African football. Every now and then we love African football, and then of course, on some days when we go overseas. That being said, welcome and well done to Liverpool for winning the EPL on that side with some games to spare. Honest not pulling through for the team. Okay, the show is on every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, as well as if Chiefs, Pirates, Mamelodi Sundowns, Bafana are in action, you'll be able to find the show, unless there's a change. For example, tomorrow I'm not going to be live, unfortunately. I'm going to be back on Thursday and then on Friday as well. So that's when you're going to catch the show on this time. Then Saturday I will be here live for us. Okay. So, that being said, as well, it's a very interactive show. It's a show where you can come in and speak to me live while I'm here. And you do that by joining me live right now on TikTok, following the account, so that you can add your voice to the show. So those watching on YouTube, get onto TikTok, and then there's a button at the bottom of your screen that says multi-guest. You click on that one, I let you in, and we have some great conversations. Now, because for once, man, that's not my review. We don't have live matches right now. What I thought I'd do is to bring back the debate episode format. So what's going to happen is that I'm going to give you some topics, and then I'm going to ask you whether you agree or disagree with what's being said, and you'll have to tell me why. That is basically how it's going to work. We're still going to work with panels, but that is how it's going to go. Before I get too far, guys, I did an interview for my podcast, the Jordaan Milford podcast, on the Overthinking Football Show YouTube channel, where I interviewed Jordaan Milford. It's an incredible interview, an hour 30 where we speak about everything, because Jordaan is one of those players that has played overseas. He's played for Vets, he's played for Chiefs, he's played for Sundowns, he's played for Swallows at the end there, and he's got some great insights on some of the topics that we speak about all the time on the show. You know, why is the jersey heavy? What does it mean? And Patrice Motsepe, because he was there when Patrice Motsepe was coming in, he has some insight onto what type of attitude he was coming in with, what type of money, and some other stories that you'd really love to see. Okay, so we're going to get into this now. I need some people to request. I'm going to start us off with this topic. For those who don't know, Coach Rulani, it's now official. He's done at Wydad Casablanca. In fact, they've placed him on special leave. Special leave, the special leave that we see in the PSL, where somebody in the middle of the season, well, there's 3 games left, middle of the season, Motu Saliko special leave after a technical director was brought in. So it has now been confirmed that Coach Rulani is going to leave, which begs the question, does Coach Rulani come back home? Do you agree or disagree that Coach Rulani needs to come back home? Kumo? Kisha Puman Kumo, Mara, you sound far away. You sound far away, Kumo, man. Oh, iPhone 16, 256 gig gold plus, man. Key. Is there a water sound on my side? Oh, okay. Anyway, Kumo, the question is very simple. Coach Rulani is now available. Should he come back home? People have been speaking about Pirates. What should he do?
Oh, okay, fine. So I have to choose the side if I'm in agreement or against that. So
Wait. Guys, can you hear Kumo properly?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure. Can you hear Kumo properly? Because it still sounds like you're low, man.
Oh,
Yeah, no, we can't hear. Yeah? Oh, you're out of. Anyway, Kumo, go on. Sorry about that. Mara solely right, you know. Solely right. You're right now. Or right now.
Oh, okay, sharp. To make it interesting, ne? Impair side, should I go or should I be against?
I'm going to say before. Agree. You agree that you should come up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Orlando should come home because for the longest time we've always said that he's our head coach. Since Pitso Mosimane, we've seen how good of an analyst and a student of the game this guy can be. There have been rumors that this guy actually deserves. Am I still audible?
You're still audible.
Okay, negeri maybe ke bongani a ke dira bongani wa tlhapa wa kolomaka wa bereka ke sala mute mo a ke sure. Okay, yeah. The people have been saying hore he's like the best analyst and he should be actually coaching overseas, particularly in the lower leagues of Europe. But yeah, and I tend to agree with them because when you look at his style of play and he's always transitioning and learning, he always improves, you know. The experience that he has had working at Sundowns proves so he can actually work everywhere. Like just recently now, Naluku Vida Casablanca, you know how vicious and the North American clubs and teams can be. So someone who has been such turmoil definitely can coach anywhere, especially here in South Africa. Not only that, he has all the requirements to coach a team CAF, being CAF A, Wakalohan. Maybe he has maybe not UEFA but I'm not sure. But I know that he's got a CAF A license. So meaning for any team that has ambition to play CAF, he's your guy. He's your guy. He knows
Okay.
he's coached at the highest. He has coached at the highest level in CAF, and he's a local boy, comes from a football dynasty, and he knows most of the local teams. So it would make a great fit for him to come home and prove to us what he has learned and why he is so highly regarded.
Okay. So then, Kuma, wouldn't this be a step backwards for Coach Rulani for him to come back here? Because, I mean, he wanted to go that side. We've been speaking about him maybe going to Europe. Would coming back to South Africa not stunt that growth?
No, I mean, like, he's still coaching in Africa, and coming back to Africa is not a step backward. Need to going to Real Madrid from Liverpool was a step backward. They're still in the same country, you know. I mean, like, it's the same goes for Rulani. So, like, the only upgrade was that he actually goes to a European club. I mean, like, we all know Sundowns is one of the best.
Yeah.
It's one of the best, and that law on the continent is one of the best. So if he can get a similar-esque team, maybe Pirate, you can't say going to Pirate. It is all right. What am I saying? It is a step back from Wydad to Pirate, from Sundowns, Wydad to Pirates. It is a step back. But for the sake of being nice, we're gonna say Pirates is not a step back because they've proved to Levona they can be counted as CAF royalties. And again, Claude, I hate this narrative saying that thinking that North American teams are superior to our league and our teams, which is not true. We play in the same tournaments and we often beat them, although Bona, they've been conniving for the longest of years and decades. They know how to win the Champions League. There's the only difference.
For time, I'm going to step in. Let me bring in Bongs. Bongs, welcome to the show. How are you?
No, I'm fine, Uti.
Hi, Bongs. I want to ask you then. There's the question there. The first topic for tonight. Coach Rulani must come back home. Do you agree or disagree?
Question if he comes back, what is he coming back for? Is there a team waiting to take him back? Or is Sundowns going to take him back? Because Sundowns, in a time where Sundowns was still winning trophies. It's not like Rulani Mokwena was not winning anything.
Yeah.
So now, how Huta right now? Oto Huta Ayaka no.
Mara ke yo Pirates na le opening. Pirates thing, there might be other openings in the league.
For Pirates, Otwating, Bamatraile, it didn't work out. What makes you think we're about Monka for the second time? Bamatria happy. I faced it the first time.
So okay, Eric Robotse then, would you take him co Chiefs?
I would never take Rulani Chiefs. I'm not.
Why not?
Because Rulani ke motho a batlang team NLM finance. Chiefs has a team e batlang motho a tjhelete. So how can you work at Chiefs and make magic at Chiefs when Chiefs doesn't want to be turned into a team that will win?
Yeah.
Chiefs is known as a stingy team. So how that Chiefs o tlo batla go banta tjhelete. And you know Bona Chiefs is not a team about yonta tjhelete. They give out the free agents and buying cheap players. And
Would
Rulani is
you
not about cheap players.
does Rulani have to adapt then? Does Rulani also have to learn not to be a coach that needs so much?
It's gonna ruin his career. Kaizer Chiefs ruined a lot of coaches' careers. The likes of Gavin his careers. Utle Atibuwa hore no, he's a league winning coach. But
Yeah.
he came to Kaizer Chiefs. He became a top 8 coach. Then they fired him. I say the likes of Bo Mazenyo came in. We had Solinas coming. Bata Chiefs. So if Rulani Yamo, he's going to be another scapegoat to Kaizer Chiefs. Bo Mulifinteki have said it no Chiefs need quality. And then Rulani ke motho a batlang ho bapala ka tshwaneleng quality. So going to Chiefs for him is not a good idea.
Okay. Where would you want him to go next?
I'd rather have him stay in Africa, in another team in Africa, but not come back. Because coming back, it looks like a downgrade for me.
Okay. Let me bring him Siana. Siana, welcome to the show. How are you?
Yeah, Oti, how's it?
I'm good, Madam Siana. There's the topic. How do you feel? Should Rulani should come home? Do you agree or disagree?
I disagree. Which team would Rulani coach like South Africa?
Oh, any of them. There's so many.
Hi. Ngoku manje uthi ufuna uthatha uRulani uyomcoachisa iMagesi.
Yeah, why not? I was tester.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, coach cheaper before.
Yeah, Mari didn't suit him. Same as Paris didn't suit him. Sundowns suited him well because Sundowns iyathenga nje. Mawudlala iyakuthenga Sundowns. Mawudlala iyathenga. So Sundowns suited him well and they have the financial plan to do so. So if uzaza la eSouth Africa, iMagesi ayinayo lo mali yothenga iplayer iMagesi. Ayinayo lo mali yothatha lento yothenga iplayer. Izazithatha uRodney Ramagalela imbuyisele back adlala isoka again. Adlalela uRulani.
So then, let's make the case for Pirates. He's now got some experience. It's different from the coach that was at Pirates. His family has a history in the Pirates. You know, his uncle, his grandfather. It runs in his blood. Coach Jose is leaving. He's leaving Pirates right at the doorstep of African glory. Isn't this man perfect for Rulani?
No ways. No ways. Firstly, Rulani has his own style of play. Rulani students ka Pep Guardiola Rulani. Thina there at Pirates asinazo isikhathi sobe sidlala ngebhola silithathe right silifake left siphinde silithathe left silifake right for 20 minutes. Sinazo lo sikhathi. Sundowns, when Rulani was there, Sundowns were playing good, one of the best footballs in Africa. And I believe so. Ugodi Sundowns was the best team in Africa when Rulani. Despite the fact that they were kicked out of the semi-final stages as a CAF. But I believe on that season, Sundowns was the better team in Africa and
Yeah.
Rulani mokwena.
Yeah. So can't he do that at Pirates?
At Parades, hayi mawoyenza phaka i-Chiefs urula i-Chiefs material mos urulani ayenza
Oh.
phaka i-Chiefs urulani.
Okay, so if he mustn't come home, where do you think he must go now with his next step?
I believe ukuthi another move abroad, maybe Qatar, Saudi Arabia would be the best move for Rulani, not coming back to South Africa. And Rulani is a good coach. He's a good coach. Mara is that type of coach that you need patience for.
Yeah.
And you'll be probably need to spend money for, just because he has, as I said, he has this type of football. A football ka Pep Guardiola. You need to be patient. Bugali bola.
Let me. Yeah.
So I believe ukuthi a move away, maybe on the Gulf leagues, or Qatar would be good for him. Ngoba abantu anayo imali ospenda laba bantu asina malti la South Africa yothenga
Mara nangu Pitso kuma Gulf League, and then we haven't seen him come back from that. And Pitso's much older than Rulani. That movie should be making at this age.
Pitso, yeah, Rulani is younger than Pitso. Pitso there bebemsebenzisa la for ukuthi amatimu abangayi relegations. He was not hired there to be like a real proper manager. He was not hired to be a real proper manager. Because I remember, I think the last team he coached, that team was struggling and fighting for relegation. That team.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
they took Pitso just ukuthi mabamkhuphe nje kwasa relegation spot. After that, abanayi planning ka Pitso.
Okay. For time's sake, let me bring in Umpopo. Welcome.
OT.
Paul, where do you sit on this? The Rulani should come home. Do you agree or disagree?
Personally, I disagree. He must stay away. He must stay. It's either he must stay in the country he's in right now, or venture on further away from home. Because I don't think there's any team he can coach in the PSL, especially in the big three, because you can't really take him to a smaller team other than that. Yeah.
But where does he go from here? Because Sundowns deemed it a failed season when he finished. That is deeming this a failed season. What are his options realistically?
I don't think it will ever survive even in North Africa. I heard at the moment he's in Europe since he's on special leave. So I think he must go and try something out there, because I feel like here in North Africa, first of all, it was a bad move for him going to North African teams, because like those guys don't have patience. He took the team took Wydad from 6th to they're currently 3rd, but they are abadlali kanjalo. So yeah, I think a move to Europe would make sure.
Marakani moved to Europe because after this track record, is it possible for him? Does he still have some credit in the bank?
Yeah, it's quite a difficult one, but I think he does at the same time, because like I've just explained to you that we are looking at a Wydad team that was really falling off the pace. They were 6th in the league last season, and now they're currently 3rd. So I think credibility yakhe isasekhona. It's just that because you're even asking about the question of him coming to coach Pirates. I don't think it can even work, that one, because
Okay.
I mean, Pirates, we don't have patience. We don't have patience, and I think Rulani requires patience, and he requires a high budget to be able to be successful.
Okay. Let me bring in Prati.
Bra, Otizo, Joang, bra, Otizo.
Man kimnati Prati ukamunka wena Rulani ko Chiefs.
Sheba, bra, for project and Gigamotaya, bra, OT. For project, ki dula fatshe fela ke ko re dula fatshe le ene re plana sengwe sengwe re starta from the scratch ang ka mong ka bra OT ke mona di player tse le gore wa di batlang ka mong ka bra OT.
Mara o tlo batla control, o tlo bua haholo.
Yeah, I wanna coach bra OT se se golo ke gore ha o batla coach e atlege e succeed bra OT tshwanetse o fe coach a support for at least ya kere jara di ka nna for 2 or 3 more years mo fe o bone gore a mme ntho tsa mago yetsa a ya bereka before ka le ka coach because of ke ntho le gore re iphitlhela no yana le ko makhosi re le mo gone no yana re batlile nabi ke rona di fene re batlile nabi but re a lela ka ene today because of dilo a di berek. That's why ke re sometimes re tlhoka patient and for project ke nagana gore Rulani bra OT re ka monka and ke nagana gore ko North Africa kwa ke ra gotle bra OT because of go North Africa kwa ba monke serious especially ko moroko ke ma aka tsamayang 8 months because ke mametse mo ditabe ke ma aka tsamayang 8 months a sa gole ba reng ke serious even le Pitso Mosimane ne ba sa reng ke serious and it's not like North African football is better than South African football ke fela gore South African football tshwanetse re gona le mo yes we are still lacking there and there ha re tla mo challenge bona mo Champions League ha re tla mo challenge di team tsa ka bo Ahly so wa bona gore khona go bella re tshameka bothata ke gore we are still lacking especially mo pele mo le re tlhoka di mo dribbling was that and ke nagana gore Rulani for project bra OT ana nka ra gotle gae and if go na le team di batla go succeed bo Richards Bay bo ba re keng bo Richards Bay bo TS Galaxy ke le ka ba project right for bone and ba mo fe support ba mo fe madi because of ha ke a dumela gore bo TS Galaxy ba na le madi mo le go le go builda le go scouta di player mo le ba gona go scouta then bra OT gore go team league ya rona tle go e be le competition le se gore re ne le league e average di lapa tse 2 di compete for league because of re tshwanetse re ne league e le gore thata re itse gore re na le TS Galaxy re na le Magezi re na le go team e be le competition bra OT
mara Prati for yena Rulani ke mo o tla coacha mona mara ha coacha bo Richards Bay ha sana CAF Champions League ha sana di Club World Cup ha sana ntho tse o ka fela angeke a trepege moko gae ore no aska gona go ya kwa le kwa go ya hodimo
bra OT a bona ha re ka re ko North Africa ba re tse serious bra OT even aka tsamama lo bona le Pitso Mosimane ntho e etsagatseng ka Pitso Mosimane Pitso Mosimane o win the CAF Champions League I get I win 2 times or 1 time I'm not
3
sure.
times altogether
Yeah, why but still it was not enough go Ahly gore bani mana because o ipotsa gore ba batlang abatsa I think o tso go bua around go Club World Cup kwa aba isa ke tsora a ba isitse go bothotse ba re ke bronze medal if you're not ka ro thotse bronze medal and still na le under pressure bra OT North Africa ha ba tse especially di coaches tsa rona tsa bodaki ha ba tse sentle bra OT so mo gae mo bra OT team if di batla go start a project because of yes Richards Bay aka go coach Richards Bay but with no support aka se loke bra OT just like Kuku Chipa United wa go tisa Rulani ha ana di player tse leng tsa gago o expecta gore a win di game a win di bra OT ke yone ntho ile gore ya re bola mara for go builda if o batla go builda team ya gago o Stellenbosch o batla go builda team ya gago bra Rulani aka ba right bra OT and o
for time I'm going to jump in. Let me bring in Mqo. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, it's OT. How's it, my guy?
I'm good. Mqo, tell me about this. Where do you sit on this? Must he come home? Do you agree or disagree?
let me start here because I've got two answers for that. Let me start by saying
Why are you giving me two answers?
I wanna lay the foundation first so that we understand each other.
Yeah.
As South Africans, Rulani didn't fail. Rulani didn't fail at Wydad when I OT.
Okay.
I think the only mistake. I think the only mistake that he did, like he believed, he can bring miracles in a team that is so messed up, from top management to from the president himself to the management. Let me just tell you what happened last season on OT. That team was number 6. They lost 10 matches.
Yeah.
His predecessor lasted 4 months in his job. If the stats are anything to go by, the previous coach, the coach before that, lasted 2 months.
Okay.
So because I was like, no man, I need to check. There's something wrong with this Wydad team. There's definitely a lot of things that are wrong with this team. Number one, there's an issue of the salaries.
Okay.
They don't pay their coaches. There's an issue there. Number two, coaches don't last there. Why are we saying Rulani failed? He's number 3 in the log. He only lost 5 games. It's his first season. Is that how we're going to judge our coaches, honestly, in Africa?
But isn't that the history of the team? You know, there's a guy right now who's number 2 in the Egyptian Premier League who got to the semi-finals, lost it on goal, and is fired. Ahly. Isn't that you have to bring something, especially if they have spent so much?
Now then we have a problem in our OT, because if you look at the history of the way they appoint their coaches, it seems as if they are looking for instant results. And I'm saying to you, let's go and check Wydad coaches before Rulani, the ones that were fired. You would be shocked. And the fact that, again, you've got a coach that traveled from South Africa to go and coach up there, and then you don't even pay the salaries of that coach. and then we come here and say, should he even go to overseas according to the stats that he have? Which stats? What are the Sundowns stats? How many times did he win the league with Mamelodi Sundowns? Have we forgotten that? Up until he decided to try and save a team that is so messed up from top management down there. I am with Rulani here. Let me tell you something. Rulani should come back and coach Orlando Pirates. If he can't do that, I hear there's issues with the Ahly coach. I'm not sure if he's fired already.
He's fired already. He's gone already.
He needs to apply for that job. Rulani is the good man for that job. He's going to show us flames if he go to Ahly. I actually believe in him. I also believe he can take over. If he can take over Orlando Pirates, it's going to bring miracles. I don't care what anybody says, because the only thing that Rulani did not do is to win a CAF. That's his only sin. Let's be honest about that. Is he not a good coach?
But also a Nedbank Cup, an MTN 8.
Oh, but then a person plays and wins a league 4 times in a row. You're still going to say, but you did not win Nedbank Cup.
2 times as head coach. Other times as co-head coach again.
And then he takes the team to semi-finals of CAF.
As they've done before. Mangoba did that.
Let's be careful. Let's just be careful. Let's not kick our own when he's down, and especially in these circumstances, because I don't actually believe that is a good team for Rulani where he's from. Yeah, there's a reason why he's leaving, and actually there are things there are signs that are indicating that there's something wrong with that team, especially if you're not going to pay your coach for more than 4 months and you think that you are going to get the results that you need. It's not going to happen.
Okay. I was going to move on to other topics, but it seems like this one has a lot. Let me bring in the showstopper. CJ, showstopper, welcome.
Aw, madoda, sihleli lo Mr. OT, impinje ka Jordaan dlala.
Aw, no, ke footman yaka man, ke prache, you know.
You're mingling with very important people.
Yeah, no.
You still have time for us.
Always, man, always. Station, there's a statement. Must Rulani come home? Do you agree or disagree?
Listen, I don't think that there is a team
that is going to be patient enough to give Rulani what a Sundowns pre-Flemingen would.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Mm.
If teams these days, if they're going to give you the necessary support that you need,
Yeah.
you need to deliver par excellence.
Mm.
I don't think that what Rulani needs in order to achieve the success that people think that he can achieve. There's a lot that of patience that would be needed, and support and financial support. Which
Can I
don't think there is
just
a
ask you? You
manager
said
or
something there. No, you
Yeah.
said something there, Ware. The success that people think that he can attain. Is there a difference between the reality and maybe the way we view him? If that makes sense.
The record tells us that there's a difference between your records tell us your actuals,
Okay.
and our hope tell us hopeful thinking. The reality is this: Rulani was head coach of Sundowns for what, two seasons?
Mm. Mm.
And in those 2 seasons, he only managed to get the what you call this cup that was made specifically
AFL.
for him by the AFL, and then the league twice. Those are 3 trophies.
Mm.
Out of how many trophies did he contest?
Mm. Okay.
That's what, 4 trophies a season. So that's 8 trophies. So out of 8 titles or 8 trophies, he managed to come back with 3, meaning he lost 5 trophies.
Mm.
And for the amount of money that is put to Sundowns in terms of the returns, it just doesn't make business sense. And I think that's why they let go of him. Same happened in is it Morocco?
Mm.
How many trophies did he contest? And how many did he come back with? A lot of people are talking about the league and so on and so forth. But if you look at, we are here and this is what you demanded and this is what we plan.
Yeah.
And in that season, you go for a trophy 1, you fail, trophy 2, you fail. The title now is gone.
Mm.
So out of 3 trophies, you are on 0, and there's no hope of the league as well. So I love Rulani, and I don't think I've got a problem with him, but it will take a patient team that to start to and not have too much expectations. You know, if you hire Rulani, automatically people think he must win the CAF, and that's not a good way of paving a working conditions for him. So I don't think all the teams that it's been
Yeah.
the same thing. Cheaper, Pirates and
Sundowns.
Sundowns and Weathered. And those 3 teams, Weathered, Cheaper and Pirates, they've got commonalities in terms of his coaching and his success.
But then can I ask you very quickly for time, do you think that Coach Rulani has to become realistic as well? That, you must know where you're signing, you must know what's expected, you must know what they're giving you, and you must know the situation that you're walking into. Is it time for him to be realistic in that sense, but also in the sense that, now you have to become a coach that can cook with half of the ingredients?
Yeah. I think so. I think it's a conversation that he also needs to have with himself, and have a reality of it with himself, so that when he negotiates his contracts or employment, he can dismiss the ideologies that I'm here to win, to do miracles, as one speaker has just said, to say this is what I promise, this is what I'm gunning for, and then be realistic with it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I'll make an example. Let's look at Amazulu, where they are now currently.
Yeah.
And and look at where Coach Vilakazi and Mangete started.
Mm.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Mm,
No one
mm.
expected them to be number 6 when they started 5 games into the league with a team that has lost all 5 games.
Yeah.
To now looking at they're going to finish in the top 10. So those
Mm.
are the things that one needs to have when employment is being done. You see these
Okay.
coaches that coach without, look at the TX Galaxy coach. Let's look at the Sikukune coach as well. I feel
Mm.
sorry for coaches such as those that can
Mm.
actually turn water into wine, but
Mm.
seemingly other than that, Rulani must come home. And it's not
Okay.
one last thing, Mr. Oti, before I go.
Yeah.
Coming back to South Africa, where he is now, it is not a step back. A step back is where going to a club and playing and not being earning money for 9 months. How crazy is Rulani to be doing that? He must come home, guaranteed pay. Cheaper is they're gonna pay him. Must come to cheap.
Okay. Let me bring in VO. VO, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you, man?
I'm good, my brother. Where do you stand on this topic? Rulani must come home. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, man. Okay, first of all, I would just like to say, man, it was nice to actually chat with you for once, man. OT, big follow of yours, my guy. Love your work.
Thank you, my
Yeah,
brother.
man. All of that show, man.
Welcome to the
On the
family.
Rulani, look, sure, boss. On the Rulani matter, look, man, it's how can I say, man? It's a double-edged sword knife, man. You know, it's sharp both sides because he came in with a big reputation. I mean, we know
Mm.
the Rulani ball, and so when they hired him, what
Mm.
was their intention as a club? Was it for the football? Because we do know the South African football, what we're doing now in Africa at the moment. The whole world is starting to look at us now and look at our football, and they're
Yeah.
starting to take us seriously. Look, when Pitso went, we tend to give Pitso a lot of credit and say he's a great coach, but we tend to miss the little things that actually make Pitso stand out and why he became so successful. These things speaks to mentality, first of all. You know, thick skin, and we know how Pitso is. He carries his heart on his sleeve.
Mm.
Yeah, Rulani has some traits of Pitso, but not everyone can be Pitso. You understand me? And we know how the North Africans are. They are very passionate about football, and sometimes they can be overzealous with the decision making
Mm.
in terms of expectations. Hence, I say I cannot look at Rulani's time there as him having or I can say he failed, or what was the expectation, because I remember when they brought him there was this talk also about the football, the whole Rulani ball thing,
Mm.
even I can make example when Sundowns didn't even win the Champions League. Yes, they
Mm.
were still regarded as the best football playing team on the continent. Yeah, you understand me? And they had lost even when they lost against Esperance, I think, in the semi-final. Everyone was still raving. I mean, the whole continent was raving about the football they were playing,
Mm.
So yes, it goes back to what was their thinking behind hiring him. Was it, look, we're bringing you in, we want the success, and it has to be instant because of who you are. And what did he put on his CV? When he was
Yeah.
looking for the job, what did he tell them? Look, I am Rulani, this is what I'm coming to give you guys. You understand me? So yeah, it's all those dynamics.
So,
But yeah, man, the
so,
whole
so
9 month thing. Yeah.
I just want to ask, if you look at him and you look at his record now, yes, he's an incredible coach with great football and all of that stuff. How many times does he have to be to quote unquote fail? How many times does he have before everybody goes, okay, now we are seeing through you? Do you think that might happen with Rulani at all?
Yes. Oh, that's a good question. Yes, that actually makes me think of Pep. When Pep went from Barcelona and he went to Bayern, he
Bayern.
had everything. I mean,
Yeah.
you understand me? He had everything. Yet, just him not winning the Champions League was considered a failed. You understand me? And then he went to City. At City also, it didn't just click. It took some time. But now the difference is there was people that believed in him, they believed in the project, and he got the necessary support. So for Rulani, that's the question he needs to ask himself. Is he going to go to a place where he's going to have that necessary support, first of all, where they're going to be patient with him? Because in order for him also to work, to function, do you understand me? He needs a positive environment. You understand me? Because he can stay there another 2 seasons and prove him. Improve why he is Rulani, but how what's the environment going to be?
Okay,
So
no.
yeah, 2 seasons for him. If he's still hopping around, he needs to get his story straight. Yeah, in the next 2 seasons, he needs to get his story straight. Yeah.
No, Vio, thank you so much for joining the show. For the first time, welcome, like I said, to the family. Let me go to every family on Malume, man, and he's been missing for a very long time.
Sure, thanks, man.
Malume Kutso.
Mr. OT.
His son, eh? Yeah, we found your pen account.
Bumalabo.
Utsala lisinje, ralibona, but it's fine.
Unjani, Mr. OT?
But kemonate man, Malume Kutso. Tell me, where do you fall on this? Must Rulani come back? Do you agree or disagree?
I think Coach Rulani, Mr. OT, should treat himself as a young player.
Okay.
As a real Mufukeng, you know? And understand OT, in as much as he's a genius, he needs certain support structures.
Yeah.
He needs to understand that he's a young player. You know, when you look at O'Reilly, you can see, man, OT, there's TLC for him there at Pirates.
Yes.
And I hope he realizes that in as much as people can whisper anything in his ear, the TLC he's receiving at Pirates is unmatched. He can disappear the whole game and not even be subbed. And when he does one thing, we give him a standing ovation.
Yeah.
And for you to receive such, you need luck also. There's an element of luck. And Coach Rulani was lucky until Lengwenya Yengamla decided to think in a different way, you know? And unfortunately for Coach Rulani, he forgot which he's a young player. He started making demands as a Mahrot man. And when you make demands, they come nama consequence, you know? When you say, I want this player, that creates an expectation.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you want certain players to finish third or finish fourth, or you understand?
Or squad overhaul.
A squad overhaul, Mr. OT. It means when we are totally league. It means when you are taking us to our desired destination. You understand?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now contrast that with a guy who looked like for 3 years has never been under pressure, maybe once or twice nyana here and there. It's because he has never signed anyone, literally. I don't know a player signed by Jose Rivero. I don't know which Jose Rivero uthanda bandla boku Pirates. Lengwenya iyenza ngalento anyway yona. We have on Mr. OT with some things they hurt. You see a player like Salem who has delivered so much for you. You literally, you can point at something and say, I made that guy.
Yeah.
But management now decide to have a fight. You look at a young boy like Unkoch and you're like, Ntwana, siyabalanda. You are playing for a career-changing title, CAF Champions League, and you have the guts to use Abombogazi, Aborele, and Abonkota in the lineup. That on its own creates a situation which, when you lose, people are even finding it difficult to criticize you. Instead, we clap hands, we're like, man, you can come back. No one says, unlike Abokola, because the budget there is insane. Now, maybe Coach Rulani needs to reinvent himself and say, can I start working with players that do not have a profile?
Yeah.
Can I upgrade my scouting? Can I see a Mshishizwane in a young boy playing a Dustin? You understand? And can I create an environment that allows such? I mean, you know, Mbogazi only has 10 professional games. The 10th one was the loss. Before a CAF Champions League semi-final, he had never played more than 10 games. And he starts that game. Can Coach Rulani, I'm not saying he should be like Jose, that's very different. And that would be unfair on him. But I'm saying, can he pick that up and say, I can now use what's at my disposal to demand more? I think had he gone to, and there's one thing I just want to add to. having seen how a football world works, the 8 months might just be on record in terms of pay. Having been exposed to these things, it might just be on record. I have not been paid for 8 months. But I'm side patama for tax issues and all of that. I've actually been paid for the past 8 months. But we're not here because we're not there. Because I find it very difficult which someone can live in a foreign country with his entire technical team and not be paid for 8 months and not complain. Someone who's very vocal. Anyway.
As a salary, it's a per diem.
I understand. Which So what I'm saying is, maybe he must just. Oh no, I'm not saying he must come to Pirates. I'm saying maybe he must find it in him to work with unknown talent, and he must also, because I've never said Negrot man, but I feel like he can't see the world from someone else's eyes, and also it's down to him being that good. Certain players might not fit, because in as much as we coach Mr. OT, players also bring their own ideas. Players are different. Maybe when Ufuni winger earlier down the line, figure out cross, but you are then encountered with a winger that cuts in. You have to be able to understand such and implement that in your game and grow as a coach.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even Hugo Bros learned that with Tembazwane, which actually, even though I have these firm ideas, a certain demographic or whatever it's called, biographic, cannot fit in my team, he has ended up giving that very person a captain's armband. And I saw Tembazwane play for Kanakimang Cardoso. A language blind, Mr. OT. A language blind. So it's not to go off track, but language blind. Language game will Mr. OT. And Tembazwane just shows you pockets no one ever saw. So that says to you, he can see the game differently. So I feel like Coach Rulani, for him to save his job and not demand too much, he must be able to respect my ideas of my players. Whether he comes back, whether he goes overseas to Real Madrid and becomes an assistant coach, I think maybe that's also another idea.
Okay. For time, I'm going to jump in. Let me bring in Agent. Agent, we had the moment you signed for We Dad. There were things that we said on that thing where people disagreed, but I'm going to let you jump in. Welcome. Where do you stand on this? Must he come home? Do you agree or disagree? Shalom also.
You know, sometimes when I once claimed that I think I'm one of the few fans that love Rulani more. I think I'm his number one fan. And people disagreed with that at the time. And I recall we having a very tough time in the group, you know, and it seemed like we hated the boy or we were jealous of the boy, but we were seeing the danger we was going into. Like, no, that's not the direction, you know. And we're not claiming that we know everything, but I feel like the direction that he was supposed to take from the get-go, which we suggested then, and I'm still suggesting it now, is go to France or Belgium, like you were suggesting. Second division, first division, have a long-term project, 10 years project. We are young. Don't rush, you know. Even if it takes you 10 years to promote a team from second division until it reaches the French League One, you'll be recognized. You know, you are going to have a star shown. Teams are going to say, hey, this guy has a track record of promoting teams. Hey, as Leeds, I can take a chance on him. You know, where did Amorim come from? Out of nowhere. Build a team. You are young. Like Abuti Kuto is saying, he's an Abuti for a reason. As a child, don't rush to run without crawling and walking first. You know? So some of these things are taken as hatred or what, but it's not, you know? It's just we have seen things from a different angle, you know, and also to step on what Abuti Kuto was saying, it's very interesting that for a very vocal coach like Rulani, he didn't say anything about the 8 months of not being paid. I find that very interesting, to say the least. But we're not there. I'm not there. I'm not there. I think he is on his last. He's trading on a thin ice. Whoever is going to replace Jose is gonna, whatever you think is gonna fail at Pirates, wherever you are, because there's no way you can guarantee 2-3 trophies every season for 3 years.
Yeah.
And Pirates fans are used to that, so an empty can expose you from the get-go. You're out, That's why I was saying to deviate a bit. If I was Mandla, I would rather come in as the savior at the end of the season when people are throwing away the coach, not now. Now he's too hot. So it's the same thing that we're talking about. And he's trading on a thin ice. So don't go towards the hot like Pirates. Maybe come next season. Or maybe finish the season with them when they're out of all the trophies, and maybe they just want to get into pushing twin. Like, guys, I'm coming in, I'm building for next season. And I know I give myself time to audit the squad and prepare for next season. I know I'm going to beef up there, here and there and there and there. That's what you want. Or you can't go to Chiefs now because I think Nabi is I think they're not going to take him. So those are the only 2 teams that can get him. But otherwise, and also don't make the mistake of going to Ahly. I see people talking about Ahly. They're complaining about me why dead. Ahly fired a coach who won two Champions Leagues of the last 3. And you want him to go there. A good man, Cole Pitso, he was crying tears there. He had to say mental health, I need to step back. He wasn't fired, by the way. He had to step back because Ahly is a different kind of animal, So I think for me, go to France, with Belgium, top 5 league, Spain, England, whatever, and promote a team there, But I want to end on this. There is something called POVOT, From my point of view, and from your point of view, things are different. I think the problem is we are seeing what I did through the eyes of South Africans. You should see what I did through the eyes of Arabs for what they are. And I am mentioning this and saying, if Man City, and this is the knowledge that I always give, if Man City hire a coach and they're 4th now, if the next coach comes in and he becomes 3rd, are we going to say it's an improvement, considering the history of Man City?
Yeah, not for City.
Because not for City. And it's same for Wydad. If you look at the last 10 years, Wydad have always finished number 1 or number 2. If they're number 2, the maximum points is the difference between 1 and 2. The maximum points is always 2 points. That's the maximum. So that is the standard. And you get to a place and you move them from number 6 to number 4 or number 3. That's an interesting look. And also, if you look at the 6, they were tied with number 4 on points, so just goal difference. So to take them from arguably number 4 to number 3, I don't think it's much of an improvement. For them, for that standard. If last season they lost 46 points throughout the league, and you at this point you've lost 36, is that an improvement? And also, you are given a mandate to go to a semi-final of that cup, and you get knocked out by a relegated team in the round of 16. Are we being fair to them? And again, people talk of signing many players, and I say, look at the POV of this North Arabs. They have done it before. The number 1 team have signed 9 players. The second team has signed 15. The one behind them, Tidal Utugu, they've signed 17. Even Wydad themselves, 2022-2023, they signed 20 players. They finished 2nd and they went to a CAF final. 2021, they signed 23 players. They won the league and they won the Champions League. That is that POV. So you signing players and saying you don't have time, it's not a reason in that world. In ours, it might be. In theirs, it's not that world. And to say, Mr. Mangele, he was number 6 equal with number 4 on the same points, and you move from equal number 4 to number 3, that's not an improvement, So, but that's what I wanted to say. That I think we need to look at these things from that own POV. Thank you.
No, thank you, Agent. If I can just jump in, guys, I'm going to go to the next topic. I gave this one a little bit of time because I saw that it was a little bit hard. This is what killed Rulani. What killed Rulani in this move, and what some of us were speaking about when he joined Vert, was that, you are leaving a place where you are family. You've been in the club for a very long time. You've been under the watchful eye and the tutelage and the mentorship of Pitso. You can call Tate Motsepe whenever you want. You were there for all of these years. Your mistakes are sometimes overlooked because you're family. If you guys remember, I did a video and we had a conversation a long time ago where I said, Sundowns has to pick now whether they're going to continue with being family or they're going to be ruthless. And up north, those guys are ruthless. But the thing that killed Rulani is, fine, Sundowns lets you go, or they say you're not whatever, or you amicably part or whatever they said. The problem with him is that he chose to go to a place where he thought he could recreate that thing. If you remember last season, or the season before, in the Champions League, the fans were clapping for Rulani. There was that moment where he was standing in front of the Wheatat fans and they were clapping for him. I think he sought love. And in football, love is very fickle. Because that love comes with expectations. When he landed, the expectation was, we are getting the best football in the continent. Because we've watched him at Sundowns. And if you listen to what the guys say, overseas, remember when Coach Pitso joined Ahly? Chairman said what? I went to South Africa and I found a diamond. And I've brought that diamond back with me to Cairo. When Coach Rulani was brought in and there were helicopters and pictures and people were running and in the parking lots and hugging him, you could mistake that for love. But people are only loyal to results. And teams and fans are only loyal to results. Especially up north. Because up north, guys, Wheatat is not trying to come number 2. Wheatat's not trying to come number 2. Let's be honest with ourselves. Wheatat, ES Tunis, Al Ahly, those teams are not doing this to come number 2. They're doing this because they want to win it all. They need to win it all. The secondary thing for me that killed him is, on top of that expectation that you already know walking in, we cannot act as though we are surprised. On top of that, they go and sign 23 players. They go and allow you to bring in your whole technical staff that you wanted. Abo Ellen Fries and all of those people are there. They let you bring in Abo Lodge. They let you bring in Abo KCS Mailula. They let you do everything that you want to do. And at some point, they have to look at the results and say, okay, is the results the same as the same as what you got back? Are the results similar to my input, what I've invested? And then they looked at him and they said, my guy, Kari, you are not the guy. And also, don't forget, he's also leaving a place. he's also leaving a place, where he had technical director issues, allegedly. Flemingberg. And he's walking into a place where that technical director has only been in the job for what? 6 months? 8 months? So Rulani is his first gift to the club. It's his first thing to say, yeah, guys, there we go. I've gone out and I've fetched somebody who can take us to the next level. Now imagine the results look the way that they look, or the output looks the way that it looks. Obviously. Then you'd see the TD. The TD would look at him and say, my guy, I'm sorry. Someone has to die here. Someone has to die here. Now with Flemingberg. Flemingberg went to Topi and he said, hey, we're going to get rid of everything that is Pitso. Rulani is going to go. Mangoba is going to go. I bring you Caruso. Now that he's in the final, he looks back at his boss and he says, I made the right choice. This guy looks back at his bosses and what does he say? So there's many things that you have to look at here. But for me, the big thing is, of course, Rulani needs to now understand that Mamelodi Sundowns was a once-off. You're never going to get that opportunity ever again. You're never going to be in a club that long. You're never going to be loved like that. You're never going to have the chairman on your side. You are now going to be the plumber. Think of it that way. Rulani is the plumber in Wydad. He's the guy they brought in. He's a nice plumber, but he's the plumber that they brought in. Expectations were on him. Think about when Jose Rivero got here. They had to prove themselves. When Pitso got to Ahly, he first had to finish the job because he finished halfway in. Well, he came in halfway in. He finished the job and won the Champions League. Then he had to go and win another Champions League just to prove that, hey, guys, I'm actually doing something here. That is what the world demands. And I think Rulani, wherever he goes, he has to dial it down. He has to dial it down. He mustn't speak loud. He mustn't make demands. He mustn't do all of those things. You need to prove it first. And then from that point, you can now ask for different things once you've shown that you've got a return. Because people, nje, in life, that love, that feeling, that whatever, it fades, it goes away. And what do you have left? Is the results. And maybe if you get the results back, you can get the love up. Mara, if you don't have those results, everybody gets tired. Words are words. But in any case, I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on to the next topic. I think I'm only going to be able to do 2 of these topics. I wanted to hear what you guys were feeling about some of these topics. So let's give 15 minutes to this one. Guys, in the comments, this is what I'm putting on the table. I'm putting on the table that Fadlu Davids, finalists of the CAF Confed, winner of the Moroccan League last season, invincible as an assistant coach. A man who was in charge of Pirates, where him and Mandla Ngigazi were in charge of Pirates when the last time when they got to the CAF Confed final to lose to RS Berkane. Currently CAF finalists with Simba. Is Coach Fadlu the best South African coach currently? Is he the best South African coach right now? And I'm saying South African, not Spaniard who took Paris to a final, not it was also Portuguese guy who took a team there. I want to ask you guys, is he, and who are the guys that are around that are maybe close to him in that regard? I'm seeing Agent mentioning Moranara Murebuli, who's now the national team coach of Botswana, took he took the team Galaxy to the CAF CAF Champions League and beat Pirates on the way. Tyler, welcome to the show. How are you? Tyler?
OT, are you there?
I'm good, my brother. I can hear you.
Yes, OT. I wanted to to talk more on the Rulani issue, but you just introduced another topic now.
Okay, let me do this. Add the Rulani issue, but then I want you to roll it into this conversation we're having now, because Rulani is looked at as one of the best coaches in Africa, but now there's a coach who's got some results behind him.
Yeah, you see on OT on the Rulani issue, there are 2 arguments I want to raise under Rulani for Rulani to come back.
Oh, you know what? Okay, let me do this. Guys, if it pleases the court, we will stay on the Rulani issue and we'll discuss the others as we go along. I don't know if the court is fine with that. Let's have an episode where we'll be discussing this then. Tyler, go ahead. Rulani.
Rulani, when OT, if you look at his record at Wydad, he has improved Wydad league position from 6th to 3rd.
Yeah.
But he failed to secure the CAF Champions League spot. The key expectation, that was actually the key expectation for that club. And his tenure there was marked by inconsistencies, disciplinary issues, fans not being happy and acting against him, culminating his actually departure from the club. But if you look at his record when OT, he's got a 1.8 win rate at Mamelodi Sundowns. and his tactical acumen is well recognized in South Africa.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think returning to South Africa and to a club like Pirates, you know, it will serve him a great deal, even if he serves as an assistant coach, just to rebuild his career. So I think when the verdict for me, for him to return to South Africa, it will offer him a stability and familiarity. You know, he might prioritize proving himself abroad if he wants to do that. But if you look at way that before him, they changed about 9 coaches before him. So the decision there was not okay by Coach Rulani. What is happening now, it was bound to happen because those guys, we all know they're impatient. So that was a career suicide for him to go that side.
I wanna ask you before we get too far along. I wanna ask you: is there, if he does, let's say, come back to South Africa and, like you're saying, maybe take an assistant's role or something like that?
Yeah.
Is there a risk of, you know, becoming one of those coaches, becoming a Gavin Hunt, becoming a Eric Tinkler, becoming one of those coaches that Asham, you might have had a point where you could have done all of these things, but now we just view you as another South African coach? Does he become viewed that way as Abu Tentens, viewed as that way as a lot of other people?
Yes, there is that risk when OT. But you know, under Rulani, you get a lot. You as a main coach, you'll get a lot of support and tactics. I think I'm supporting Ulu and Ukumo. Was it Uncle Kumo Kutsone, who said he might regard himself as a little little player that's still to develop, because clearly there are some of his games technical acumen that needs to be developed. You'll see Nabo Fadlu, they will come back as being assistant, and look at how good he's doing now. I think I'll support that statement to say right now he's the best export coach who's exported to Africa, because Pitso is no longer there. But currently within the PSL, Cardoso, I think Cardoso takes the cake.
Okay.
But in terms of the export, Fatlu is the best so far, and Rulani, unfortunately, has failed dismally.
For time, I'm going to jump in. Let me bring in Shembe. Shembe, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, Mr. Otsi, how are you, my brother?
I'm good, my brother. Tell me, where do you sit on this? Rulani must come home. Do you agree or disagree?
Sure. Okay. Can I please just start by saying, please join me in bullying agents into starting a Substack and writing monthly or bi-weekly football essays. Or if you're ever going to do overthinking football monthly newsletters, Agents is your guy, man. But until then, please help me bully this man into writing Substacks on football essays.
Skawar, I'm trying to convince him to do something else. Don't worry. Don't worry.
He needs to do something. He needs to do something. How this man unpacks his way of thinking and how he bridges topics into other points of conversations is pretty interesting. Anyway, so Otsi, like when I join your lives, I usually write very small notes and I try to have a heading, right? And I've kind of exposed my heading, and my heading was for Rulani was the prodigal son with no master. And if it was an essay that was been written at school, it would have been suffering under the expectation, suffering under the weight of your own expectation. And that's how I view Rulani, Mr. Otsi. You said it brilliantly when you said, words are words. And at some point, you're going to have to start delivering on your promises, And I feel for Rulani. I really feel for Rulani because he's suffering under the expectations that we've placed on him because of what he means, what we hoped he meant or he was going to mean to the country and the football fraternity at large, you know. And his unfortunate problem is that in life, no one skips the stage of character development. It's unavoidable. And some people get to go through character development in the dark, where it's in Asgwazi, you're just a Joe from Ekaslako, Asgwaz. And then you get those people who have to develop in front of us in real time and make their mistakes publicly. And that's the unfortunate parts, man, of what's going on in Rulani. Rulani, unfortunately, isn't like a Fadlu Davis who gets to develop in the dark, as developing years and years as an assistant coach. And then when he gets a gig at Simba, then wow, he has this incredible season. You know, Rulani has to develop in front of us and make those mistakes publicly. And we're seeing him go through mental turmoil. Goes through mental turmoil because, you know, one of the things I was saying to Agent on WhatsApp after I saw the news of Rulani going was, I really wish that after the Sundowns season, because towards the end of that season, Mr. Otsi, if you looked at something small, just like his hair, you know, Mr. Otsi, you could see the stress that was weighing on this man, Mr. Otsi. You could see the level of fatigue on his face. And then for him to go and make a decision such as going to Wydad, I'm sizanga lento leyo, Mr. Etsi. Impazise kakhulu because you're leaving a hot, you're going to an even hotter place that has no structure, that is struggling to sort of find itself and its new identity in this new in this new world that they're trying to find themselves in, you know. So also, like, considering the type of personality that he is, you know, like some teams need a coach who's gonna be able to come in and play the background, be Michelle. You don't have to be Beyonce Mofiga. Just like Jose. Jose got to Pirates and was Michelle. Jose didn't get to Pirates and became a Beyonce. You need a type of coach that's gonna be able to see Ashai Spansake move in silence, abe humble, but Rulani isn't that type of personality. Rulani is almost like a Mourinho type of coach who puts himself in the forefront to self-sacrifice in some cases to protect his players from the media and protect his players from whatever the public noise. But ipindi buye ishaya yena that thing. Same how we've seen how ibuye ashaya umorino lento leyo. If you're gonna be the Beyonce, then miss Shai's sweep against your team. So shaya wena ngeke shaya abadlali bakho. Yabo.
So Shebe, can I just ask, in a broader sense, is this something that we're seeing in football in general? Because when we look at the coaches that are coming out now, you think of Arteta. You know, from assistant to head coach, he came in and he wanted to change things and they gave him free role, and it's taking him 5 years to get here because he's had to learn some things. You know, you look at Amorim right now. You know, I don't know what he thought was going to happen when he landed at Manchester United, but you see some of the wear and tear, you know what I mean? And some of his shortcomings are being exposed. Do you think that this is an issue with how football is right now, that a lot of the coaches feel as though, guys, I'm the coach. You know what I mean? Like, you've hired me. I need all of the reins. I need all of the control. I need all of the budget. I need all of the stuff. And maybe you haven't proven yourself. I mean, if you look at just for example, Arne Slot. Arne Slot was like, hey, Joe, I'm not changing anything here. I'm not doing too much. You know what I mean? And then
that was going to be my case study. That was my case study arguments. You know, Lentoga Arne Slot, Suguti. I think entertainment in general, because I consider football as part of entertainment because it's something that humans use to get away from the hardships of life. Entertainment in general is struggling with a big personality problem. Across the board in everywhere we're going. We can go to politics, we can go to, everyone wants to be a big personality so that if their career in this particular thing doesn't do well, they have a personality to bounce off back on so they can work with brands, so they can, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if you see where I'm going with this thinking, you know? So the thinking now is as well, like if you're going to be a football analyst, for instance, people are going to tell you, hey dog, do TikTok, hey dog, do this, so that you can be bigger than just this thing that you're giving us, be a personality. And it's coming to bite a lot of coaches in the behind. Because Liverpool, they have a coach who isn't a personality. Same thing with Sundowns. Cardoso isn't necessarily a personality. You have coaches who's come in and say, okay, this is how I like to play. but
Yeah.
this is the material that I've been given right now, and I need to work within the means of the material that I have. Mina, I'm a multimedia designer, Mr. Oti, and one of the greatest lessons that I had to learn was Uti, less is more.
Keeping it simple is the hardest thing to do.
Yes, you need to learn the rules so that you know what bounds you're working within. And
Yeah.
coaches like Rulani are extremely extravagant. They loud, they stars, and it's beautiful to watch because we get to live vicariously through them. But iphinde ibuye ishaye bona mebabhayiziseka amajani. So me, I wish that Rulani could sit down for a little bit because you can see the stress of football. And my biggest concern is he's gonna lose the love of the game because then his career is gonna only be marked by hardship after hardship after hardship after hardship. That's what usually happens when everyone indoctrinates you as the next great one. That when you've been called as the next great one, life becomes hard, Mr. Otsi, but if you can do that in secret, then that hardship is only known between you, your friends, your family, and your close ones. But when the whole world sees your hardships, it's a different story, Mr. Otsi.
Okay. No, Shembe, for time, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to bring in somebody who's actually a coach as well. Coach Picasso, welcome to the show, man. How are you?
Give me to my brother, Ukraine.
Man, we're going to start it off here. Statement is Rulani must come home. Do you agree or disagree? Then we'll go from there.
I agree. Good evening to everyone on the comment section and guys that are on the panel currently. No, I agree. I think he must come home for different reasons, of course.
Okay.
One of the reasons that is important, I think, at that level, the demands are too high, and as a human being, you can only take up so much disappointment, because we really don't know what goes on behind the scenes at these football clubs. Yes, we have ideas as to what happens because we are in the game, but you never really know the disappointments or failures or shortcomings of individuals.
Yeah.
You never know whether people have been backstabbed for them not to succeed. You never know, so all that we are saying here, we must bear in mind is that every opinion here is at face value.
Yeah.
It's not something that is derived from sure facts, but I think he must come home because of I think ASAP mentioned something very important. I think his mental state right now, I don't think you have to be a specialist to see that he probably is not doing well mentally, because of the disappointments, because of the backlash, I think also I think he bet too much too soon to a certain degree, like as Asho there was a point. Remember when Pep left Barcelona because he had a problem with management and stuff. That's why he left Barcelona, and then he took a break.
Sabbatical. Ow!
A sabbatical, yeah.
Yeah.
So those things are important, just to recharge your batteries, just to reunite your heart with the game, because now and again you do lose the love after a lot of disappointments, after a lot of shortfalls or shortcomings, you do lose it. So after what happened at Sundowns, I think
But can I ask, is this two questions? Is this maybe a pattern with South Africans? I had a conversation with the guy's interviews on YouTube. I had a conversation with him, and he was speaking about how he got homesick and he came back home to the comfort of home. But if he could redo that, he would have stayed that side. Do you think that it's something similar that Coach Rulani, as somebody who left the comfort of Sundowns to maybe seek the comfort of Wheated, who seemed to love him, do you think that he should be seeking comfort, or maybe he should be taking the sabbatical elsewhere in the world so that he can learn also to deal with these things?
Yeah, I think for him it's not to, if he is to coach in the next season, I think it would be best he comes home.
Okay.
If he takes a sabbatical, then it's fine. Maybe for a season, then it's fine. Whenever he decides, okay, now I want to coach, then he can go anywhere in the world, But I think home will help him mentally, the environment itself will help him. Because because even with me right now, I'm talking nothing tactical, nothing technical, nothing, that's field related.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the issues that he needs to sort out. Look, man, I think regardless of how we look at it, Coach Rulani he's a star coach. He's a star coach because of influence. I think for me, I don't look at much in terms of titles or okay, this coach has won this coach has won that. It's always good when you can accompany the influence with titles. For example, Marcelo Bielsa, I'll always respect him above any coach in the world because of his influence. It's just unfortunate that he can't attach that influence to titles. Whereas for Pep, he can do it. Because of the resources that he has. But at the end of the day, I think Coach Rulani is a star coach. I don't think we can sit here and lie to one another and be like, he's not a good coach. He is a good coach. That much I can tell you. I'm convinced, And also, I'll tell you one thing. I'm a young coach. I'm South African. As a black coach in this country, you have to be very convincing. Very convincing. You can't be like any other person. You have to be very convincing. And it's not easy to convince people. It's not an easy task. So considering those things, I don't think that now he should look at himself and have doubts of his ability and quality. I think he should just find himself and just have that self introspection to say, okay, this is where I went wrong. This is the places that could have been better, and then get back into the ring as soon as he's done with his sabbatical.
Okay, very quick question. Do you think that there's a lot of coaches that go through this phase and maybe mishandle it? Because, for example, again, I'll reference that Jordaan conversation. He said that he wished he had somebody who could have advised him differently. Do you think that coaches like Coach Rulani, other coaches in the league, maybe or to speak to people that know? Do you think that plays into all of this? Maybe.
I do. I think that plays a huge role. They say you are the product of your environment. It's either the environment you are from makes you or it breaks you. The choice is yours. If it makes you, you are still the product. If it breaks you, you are still the product. So I think even within the footballing fraternity, as kulumi, man, we reserve ourselves so much. But also it's not easy to trust football. The football people, that much I can tell you, Uti. I've worked in the professional space. It's not easy to trust people there because everyone at that level is kind of thinking with their stomach and not with their mind, and so that's why you won't find coaching seminars in South Africa whereby coaches sit down and they just discuss football, the latest trends. We're sharing information. We are, you won't find such initiatives. Why? Because of such things. And also, probably Coach Rulani does get. He knows prominent people. I'm sure he still speaks to Coach Pitso. He's got. I'm sure his contact list. There are people on that list that he knows that he can just pick up the phone and call and seek for advice. But at the end of the day, a person can ask for advice. The final decision is theirs, And sometimes also, there's also another thing, OT. This thing is tricky. This is my last point. You know how it's tricky? Because we could sit here and be like, no, Rulani could have taken a sabbatical after Sundowns.
Yeah.
And then he lives the rest of his life thinking of what
I shouldn't have. Yeah.
So those are it's a matter of picking your poison and saying, okay, this is the hill I'm willing to die on, and I'll
Mm.
get on it. So I think it's
Okay.
as tricky as that.
But it's better to have loved and lost than never to have lost at all. Kaseho. Let me bring in Mr. Critical. Mr. Critical, welcome to the show. How are you?
Yes, Jijo.
Inside, man.
Worrying the boseka.
Ay, man, naki manati, man, neti fela pilu buku Rulani, man.
Muna, congratulations on the audio podcast. I'm actually very impressed. I was actually very happy. I enjoyed your interview with Josta.
Thank you
Very
very much, Papa.
informative, and I mean, you were flowing, man. It's like no present ya khale, monna. Like, yeah, you're doing your thing, man.
Thank
And
you, thank
I
you,
wish
thank
you
you so
well
much, Papa.
and growth in what you're doing. There's something that I want us to touch on in terms of Rulani's situation. Before I can say should he come back home or should he go somewhere else, I think let's look on the fact that if you remember the last interview he had, I think a week or 2 weeks before he departed to Morocco with Robert Marawa, he was shocked, to learn that he was actually no longer going to be the coach of Sundowns. Obviously, that has had an effect because he had plans with Sundowns, maybe for the football club World Cup, you see, and other things. And also considering that he only lost just one game on the last, game that he played. So that was a shock. So I think psychologically, he still had a lot to deal with in terms of accepting the shock of being fired by Sundowns. And immediately, a week later, I think it's a week later or 2 weeks later, another shock comes to say you're going to be hired by one of the best teams in Africa, in
Yeah.
the North Africa.
Yeah.
And now it's like second shock. So he's dealing with two shocks in a very short space of time, psychologically. He's going to North Africa, Morocco, where there's no patience in terms of football. There's hooliganism, in matches that are being played. He's getting there. There's no quality players. I actually watched 20 of the 27 games that he played because I love the guy. I'm a Sundown supporter, by the way. Not that I'm against your team, Chiefs. There,
Don't worry about us.
yeah. So basically, when he's getting there, he's actually overruling the whole team. In a way that he got about 23 players. For him to overrule the whole team. Even today, he played 27 games. He still doesn't have a starting 11. So he's still trying to find the players who can qualify, in certain positions permanently. And if you check also, week in, week out, starting from January, there's been pressure, the way that they interview him. I watch all the interviews that he gets pre-match and post-match,
Yeah.
You could see the change that since Lodge arrived, Mailula was actually taken back, and then now there's excuses of stomach bags, and then issues of sickness and issues of that. And if you see also the players that are there, they started to have an issue of a discipline. And I will tell you why I specifically say January. In December, they announced that a former player, that player, is going to come back as an assistant coach.
Yeah.
Rulani was doing good prior to that. If you were looking or watching the games, I was watching all those games. He was doing good. The only game that he lost, I think it was against Mogrot something. He lost that game 4-1, and he was leading the game. And then it was coming all right, and it was coming good. From then, there was an announcement that they're going to bring in the assistant coach. That guy was not coming there to assist. He was just coming there to undermine Rulani. If you check all the games that they've been playing since they arrived in January, the last game that they won is the game that I think they won 5-1 when he was back here in South Africa for his grandmother's funeral. And I think assistant coach was the one who was coaching the team there, the one from South Africa. So that's the one that they won. So since the guy came in, the one of Widad, the Widad former Widad player, you can see Rulani doesn't interact mostly with players. It's that guy that stands and he will be shouting and pointing directions and everything. That to me in football tells you that there's a certain level of authority that has been taken away from him as a coach. So, but those are the background stuff that we will not.
But can I ask? Okay, are we not shifting the goalposts for Coach Rulani? Like, I would imagine that, for example, Coach Cardoso comes into the country to take over Mamelodi Sundowns. We know what Rulani did last season. We know that Coach Mangoba was held to the fire because of what happened earlier this season. The expectation was still that, you know, you have to win the league. You have to go even further in the Champions League because Coach Rulani. Are we not shifting the goalposts in that respect for Rulani? Because isn't that the expectation at any team, you know, that has been as successful as that has been in the situation that they're in right now? Similar to if you come to any team here, the guy who's going to follow Coach Jose is going to have a tough time. The guy who's going to follow Cardoso, if Cardoso was to win the Champions League, is going to have a tough time. Are we not shifting the goalposts?
Okay, let me ask you a question. What would be the reason for the team to hire you, a former team player, to come and be an assistant coach when at that point in time we have not started losing? You have not lost anything. In fact, in fact, yeah, just a quick one, George. In fact, you have also broken a record of 5 consecutive wins that they have not had in a period of like 5-6 years. So basically, they say they're bringing in an assistant coach. Okay, I just want to ask you from a technical perspective and a football, what you call a business profit perspective, why would you want to bring in a former coach? They already had a plan to say, no, we don't want to continue with this guy because he's getting too much praises, you know, not necessarily as in like praises for nothing, but praises in the fact that he's winning. And then now they think that the strategy that he has already applied for the team is definitely going to be pulled out by the next guy who's their own. Who will continue. If you check Morocco, I mean, let's be honest, guys. Personally, I think those guys have got some form of like a discrimination, which you could take it to a racial perspective in a way. If you also check on how Pitso was treated on the last lap, you know, to say these guys would say to you, okay, you're doing good. You brought us a winning formula of South Africa. We see the tactics, we see everything. Now they think like they can do it on their own. They're bringing in an assistant coach. From the time that they brought that guy in January, they started drawing. So it's been 5 consecutive draws. And if you look on the matches, I'm telling you because I watch all those matches. Rulani doesn't stand up. The only match that he stood up, it was the last one that they had with OSC, you know, and I could see that he's pressurized, you know. And all the games that he's drawn, if you check, George, your most critical point, you always mention critical time. He's getting scored at 80 minutes, 81 or 77. You know, it's always within that space that you like mentioning all the time to say the critical phase. And you ask yourself, how do you hold a match the whole game and then you're losing? And at the same time, why doesn't he stand up and motivate the players? It's only the assistant coach who was the former player of Widad. What's going on? So those dynamics, I look on them. But personally,
but very quickly for time's sake, very quickly, I just do you agree or disagree just for time so that we can respect the others?
No. Personally, it's not appreciated there. I think he should come back. They think they have learned what they wanted to learn because they know that South Africa has got the best football tacticians, and then now they think it's no longer necessary for them to have him there. I think he must come back because even some of the injuries of the players and the discipline. I mean, the last red card that they had from Mubarak, you know, their star player at the center. I mean, it was unnecessary, and you
Okay.
could see that this is something that might actually have been pre-planned to
Yeah.
cause some sabotage in a way, because immediately after he got a red card, 2 minutes later they scored Wydad.
For time, I'm gonna jump in. For time, I have to jump in. Let me bring in Butlale. Butlale, welcome to the show. How are you? My brother, here we sit with this situation. Must Rulani come home? Do you agree or disagree?
Oti, with the situation, I'm kind of sitting on the fence, because ideally, I would want Jose to stay at Pirates and Rulani to join another team in order to increase the quality of the league, right? Ideally, that's what I would want. But I don't think it's wrong for me to say that between the time that Rulani left Pirates and now, the culture has taken a bit of a shift, right? So I don't know if Rulani fits into that culture. And obviously we can talk all about, how, Rulani's mental state right now and, all of those stuff. We don't know what's going on in his personal life. But to be honest, to me, it doesn't look, in the correct state to take on such a big job. But looking from a football perspective exclusively, Rulani, he would do good for South Africa, honestly, because, the brand of football that he plays, for me, the brand of football that he plays is, I mean, it's some of the best football that me personally in my life of watching football I've seen, honestly. And you can say that in Africa it's not winning football. You can say that. I partly agree with that. But in the league, we've seen that it's a winning formula. OT. In the league, we've seen you. I mean, last year you only lost one game, almost went invincible. Whether at Pirates he has the same quality as Sundowns did last year, well, that we can question that. But the type of football that he plays, it'll do good for South African football. That's my opinion.
So Butlale, I just want to ask, what are we basing him being the national team coach on? Because isn't that a completely different skill set? Isn't it a completely different thing for us to say that he's ready for that? And is it something maybe we do with Coach Rulani, let's say, that we put him forward for a lot of things that maybe frankly he's not ready for? Like maybe at Wydad he wasn't ready for the pressure, the xenophobia, the racism, some people in the comments, or the way, the culture, the this, the that. Is it a case that we love him so much that we just think that Ushab?
Oti, me, I didn't say anything about. Yeah, there's a bit of an echo.
Is there an echo? Oh, wait. Okay.
Huge echo. But me, I didn't say anything about him being national team. Now, I don't think he'll be a good national team coach, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because in later years, we've seen South Africa go to straight stages of them playing, good football, but not winning football per se, And Hugo Bousses came in and changed that. But in terms of Rulani, what was your second question? Sorry to.
Oh, well, no. I was saying. Oh, I'm worried about this echo. I was saying, what makes us think that he's qualified to do that? Because at the end of the day, national team or national team structure, whatever, is different. And are we maybe taking Uko Rulani as somebody that we love, and we are pushing him into these spaces that maybe he's not ready for, that maybe, for example, go with that, he wasn't ready for the pressure, the xenophobia, the plumbership, or looked at that way, or being a black coach that side, or all of those different things that you have to handle when you're a coach. How do you feel about that?
Me personally, at the start, I didn't want him to go to Wydad. Because I was thinking a bit of. Am I echoing?
I can hear you fine, but I think there's an echo. Somehow there's an echo on the actual thing.
Oh, okay. I'll try when you're talking. I'll try muting.
Oh no, I know what it is. So hang on, guys. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's fine now. It's fine now.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, yes, for with that, I don't. That's a tough question because it relates based on what he did at Sundowns. Only losing one game. You'd say this guy is ready to go and kill it, go in Africa, but that hasn't happened. And I feel like the style of football that he plays, the brand of football that he plays, doesn't fit in Africa. The brand of football that he plays in South Africa doesn't fit in Africa.
Okay.
Because we know how Africans play. They say they are moments team. They sit back and hit you on the counter. And he doesn't fit into that kind of category. He plays, possessional football. He doesn't play anti-football. He plays proper football, right? Positional football. So I think that's the overlying problem for me. He doesn't play the brand of football that fits in Africa.
Okay.
Now, on the topic of the national team, personally, I don't think he do good nationally, for the simple fact that we are succeeding now with this brand that Hugo Bruce is playing. Camera OT. Okay, I'll just continue. We are succeeding now with the brand of football that Hugo Bruce is playing, and I don't think we need to change that. And I know football, there's an entertainment factor to football, and yeah, entertainment is definitely part of football. But in order to win, I think we need to stay with this brand of football that Hugo Bruce is playing right now, because other types of football that we've seen from previous coaches hasn't worked. Oh. Aye, Baba, shame me.
Can you guys hear me?
No, I hear you clearly.
Let me just check something. Okay.
Shall I repeat what I just said?
Hey, one. Just give me that last part there.
No, I'm just saying for the national team, I don't think Rulani will be a good acquisition for the simple fact that we are seeing now the brand of Hugo Bruce has been succeeding, right? So I don't think there's a need to change that, and I feel like we should, head in that direction, playing that type of football, because of the different types of football we played in the near past has not worked for us. That's what I was saying.
Okay. Guys, I don't know what's happening with my equipment right now. This is why we ask for donations. But Butkali, let me go to Lindo right now. Then I can close it a little bit early because I see something is happening here. Lindo,
the best broadcaster in Africa.
the best analyst in Africa. Welcome.
I'll say I'm gonna echo, man.
Good echo. I'm not sure where that echo is coming from, to be honest with you. But let's push through. Let's push through. What I'll do is, while I figure it out, tell me what you're thinking of with this topic, and we'll go from there. Must Coach Rulani come back? Do you agree or disagree? Then we'll go from there.
To be honest with you, speaking about Rulani with me, there's no time. The time is not enough. The conversation is let's cut on us for with me and Rulani is not enough. And one of the reasons why I pulled through was because there was Picasso on the panel, and he made some valid reasons. I like the guy who is exception. Like the guy who took the classic. George, your show has some incredible people. I would genuinely, really, really encourage people to come and support and watch the show. It's one of the best shows you ever listen to. It's like you're listening to late night football radio show. But other than that, George, to be honest with you, just to answer your question, just to be quick, I'm going to 2 minutes because I can hear myself. I took an ear caller. Oh, someone, sorry about that. Someone is trying to call me. Rulani, George, number one. The only thing I feel about this whole thing is the pain of realizing that he might not have the opportunity to go to the Club World Cup. He deserves it. He did an extremely good job with Mamelodi Sundowns as an assistant coach, as a co-coach, as a head coach, where he made sure that he builds the football heritage in that football club. Continued the work of Coach Pitso, of course, and the investments that are made by the club did help the club get into that space. We can't shy away from that. But for me to see him in the semi-finals, getting closer and closer, I feel that this was the season where he was going to win the Champions League fairly. So I'm not surprised that Carlos is in the final of the CAF Champions League. We did not have Kaizer last season in the semi-final against the Esperanza. And unfortunately enough, this season we've got the best player in Africa in our team, which obviously is an advantage. I think last season not having Kaizer was a big loss for Rulani. I think that was a big, because when you talk to him and the conversations that I have with it's Kaizer was a big loss for them, a big loss for Kaizer. So for me, George, the fact that he left Mamelodi Sundowns and it felt like death is one of the reasons why this will always be our biggest pain, especially from technical to maximally to purist and the people on the ground. It's not just about trophy. I always emphasize this when I analyze football, that yes, it's good to speak about trophies because that's what we are there for. Part of my job is to speak about what is happening in the night. But if you understand what coaching is, it's about influence, it's about changing life. Football is a game of relation. It's about improving people. And for me, that guy, the influence that he's had in this country, you see all these coaches, abayenza ama-B license, abayenza ama-A license, abayenza ama-C license, you go to them, you ask them who's their role model or the coach they look up to, they will tell you Coach Rulani. So we are talking about a coach here. Even Coach Pitso himself. I was listening to Mark Mayambela, and one of the things he said, he wants to spend time on Rulani and pick his brain. Because this is not just about winning and trophies and results. This is about influence, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I did not want him in the first place to go to that. One of the reasons why, okay, like, let me get off, George. I'm going to end up revealing things I don't want to say. But
Wait, before you go, can I ask you one thing? Outside of the coaching, outside of all of the other stuff, like the actual technical, all of that, do you think maybe that one of the problems when you look at a Coach Rulani is his approach to things in terms of how they handle situations? Like the moment, the moment they bring a carnival, they bring a circus, and they have fireworks and what, in your mind.
George, Mamela, of course, emotional intelligence is something that we need to learn, all of us. Right? The 37-year-old coach who coached the 3 biggest teams in Africa. Of course, sometimes it does get to you. Coach Shomoso once said that when I was still a Pirates coach, that one of the reasons why it would make it difficult for him to coach the Pirates is because it's too emotional. He doesn't have the right emotional intelligence. And you speak to people like Abu Sembata and you see the damage, some of the things, or the negative things rather, should I say, that is done at the club, which is to release some of the legends and bring in people like Bonabo Patrice, Bonabo Michael. It hurts a lot of people at the club, and that is the honest truth. That is the honest truth now. Now, I was sakuluming I think, or my opinion. You understand?
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying I'm not going to. Angezi nge-angle. I've listened to Shembe, I've listened to the other guys. It's so right with what they are saying in terms of the tactical blah blah blah. Not him, his football, not adjusting. Says kuluma ngobuye na manje. Firstly, George, I'm going to be truthful. I love the guy, but I'm not naive, right? I understand that there's things that he needs. That's why I'm saying we don't have time. This is not enough, George. This time is not enough. Coach, which is of course when he comes into the country, George, for sure, he's a brother to me, for sure. So that's the first thing. It's like you and I, George. It's the relationship I have with you. But I'm not naive to also not understand your mistakes or not understanding my mistakes. So my bigger point here is the coach is not perfect. Of course, releasing Ama legends or some of the legends in bigger roles, Mamelodi Sundowns, like scouting, like technical analysis, like development coaches, that influence obviously affected a lot of people at the club. You understand? His decisions that he's made personally, obviously wanting to win and wanting to do so well in this country, wanting to win the trophy and the pressure and the stress to deliver the CAF Champions League. Obviously, there were mistakes and things being said there emotionally. Winning the AFL was a big thing for him because he said after the AFL, I want a lodge, I want Mabasa. He couldn't get that. Obviously, there was an attitude after that because he felt the responsibility to win a CAF. And he felt that with the players that he had requested, they were going to get him over the line. Obviously, at the club, we're also not naive, George. We understand that I don't get into Zoitola at the club. He has the best material. We cannot protect him there because he's got the best material at the club, no matter who's injured, right? But that was an influence. The influence to go to Wydad, George. He did not want to go there. He wanted to go there, of course. It's a big club. They wanted him. But I think the bigger reason was the FIFA Club World Cup. Even before the Droga bet. I think him playing the Club World Cup, I think he feels he deserves it. I think he's one of the people, just like myself, George. Maybe a lot of people don't know, but people that support me and people that are with me through and through know that this has been years and years of sacrifice. Years and years of sacrifice. George, I've sacrificed my life for football. George, there's things I don't have in my life because I've sacrificed that for football. I've never had a job in my life. I know the sacrifice he's made in football for him to be at that level, more especially when you've never played. George, to understand how it is to be in a space where you've never played football and you constantly have to prove yourself. So for me, that's why the influence of that guy is bigger than anything in this country.
Yeah.
I think if you remove the results and the tactics and the what, and you look at the influence that he's had, the lives that he's changed, how many jobs has Rulani created with him speaking about analysis, conditioning, loan systems, strategies, exposing that in the media, speaking about it in the code. People are glorifying this thing with Sky Sports with this English coach that went there to speak to, I think, with Jamie Carragher about when he's speaking about match day preparation.
Yeah, Will Packer or something like that.
Yeah. I think to myself, but Rulani used to do that week in, week out. You guys used to say, yeah, but it's over-analyzing.
Okay.
And the bigger point here is how many jobs has he created? Look, every club has probably 3-4 analysts. Don't you think where do you think the influence comes from? Think about it from deep. Deeply, genuinely think about it. Think about where our game is from that perspective to say, he's the one that brought people that are professions into the game. I'm not talking about people who play the game. I'm talking about professions.
Yeah.
A very good friend of mine, Usbu Makitla, the one who holds the laptop, if people don't know him, introduce Lodge. Lodge, this is the Lodge I want. The guy who's holding the laptop. We are talking about a professional. All these big analysts in this country, or these renowns, there's 2 young boys who Mamelodi Sundowns people don't know of. Maybe they do, but maybe they're not too public. Uyadin Kwavol, if I'm pronouncing him right. Yeah, I think if I'm pronouncing him right. And then Tinashe. Those are young boys in their early 25th. People don't know this. For you to even be an analyst, you can't be an analyst. They hire more or they go for younger people because they don't have family responsibilities. When I had a conversation, no Mike Macab, no, not to Mike Macab, assistant Mike Macab, or Alban. He said to me, Lindo, when we are looking for analysts, we are looking for people that don't have families because with
Don't have
analysts,
lives.
they don't have
Must
lives,
give-
basically.
yeah.
Thank you, my friend. You speak better English than me. I always say you always help me. But my bigger point here is, I did not need him to go to North Africa. And George, like being a phone wasn't figure like this. But anyway, I think I've said much. There's more I can do. There's more I want to say. Of course.
I will save it for 3-minute press. I think this is what we're going to speak about. Oh, Lindo, thank you guys so much. Actually, everybody is onto the panel. Look, at the end of the day, I think for me, I like Coach Rulani. You know, I like Dens. I like Coach Pitso. I like all of those people. But sometimes the decisions they make don't make sense. And it's not to say that they're not human. It's not to say that you can't be taken by the emotions of the thing. But I think we have to be considerate of those things when we speak about them, and we have to be knowledgeable about those things when we speak about them. When I speak about Coach Rulani, when I was speaking about Coach Rulani from last season, when everything was happening, it's like all he needs to do is to make better choices. Sometimes you make better choices. Sometimes you make better choices, not because you can't do all of these things. Sometimes it's to learn. Sometimes you have to know, but the most important thing is to know what you don't know and to take advantage and to notice all the things that you do. Guys, we know Wheated is a highly pressured team in a highly pressured country. We know that last season, Wheated was number 6. They had to watch Raja Casablanca being invincible. They had to watch AS FAR with Coach Nebi coming number 2. We had to watch all of these things. So already you must understand that there's a bubbling that is happening in that club. And you are being brought in as the answer. You're not being brought in as the guy who's going to lay the foundation. You are the answer. You are being marketed as such. You are speaking as such. You are coming out and being covered as such. There was so much. I remember saying in the group, the Overthinking Football WhatsApp group, if you want to join, just send me a DM and I'll tell you why. I remember in the Overthinking WhatsApp group, when he went over, I put up some pictures of the press conferences of how they're following him in the street. There was a video I remember where he was walking in the parking lot and this guy ran over and he's like, oh, Coach Mokwena, Coach. And I was like, this is fun now. But what about Coach Mokwena, about Coach, what? How about Jigel? There was press conferences where Coach Rulani was in charge and he was saying all of these nice things. As he was painting pictures and you could tell that everybody had bought into those pictures and everything. The moment that picture is put next to your results and the thing doesn't match, those are the same people that is now fighting in a press conference. The same people who are clapping, when he was talking about, this club is such a big club, it's such an amazing club. It doesn't deserve to be where it is and we need to do this and do this. Those guys that were clapping are the same people that at the end you were saying, no, but you guys ask me these questions and you tell me things and all of these. Now, when I hear, you have to be able to back it up. There was a guy I used to work for. He used to own clubs and he was talking about promotion and things like that. Clubs, as in like clubs, more like Ruvante. And he said, it doesn't help for me to promise this girl everything. He used I don't want to use the example that he used, but you go up to a girl, you promise her everything. You promise her this, you promise that, you promise that, you promise that, you promise that. All of these big things. Mercedes C63, you're promising. There's going to come a time where she's going to look at you and say, hey, where's that thing? Kana, kites into a man. Kites. I say Mercedes. Here we go. Now you start having the thing. That's what Rulani is going through. He's coming with fireworks. He's coming with all of these things. Okay, nakatona. When I see the fireworks, I'm also expecting that. Whereas you look at a Fadlu, you look at a coach Jose Rivero. Jose Rivero comes here quietly. We don't know why Pirates hired him. We don't know what he wrote in his CV. We don't know what happened. People are calling him plumbers. Now your expectations are low. Now when you win, and you have to win, but now when you win, your expectations are not. You see what Nebi's fighting or going to be fighting soon is the same thing. You were brought in because you're a trophy winner, you were this, you were that. You came in and you're talking about quality and all of that stuff. If you don't get the results next season, a ton of people are going to look at you and say, "Ow, Mara, coach." And then, so I think anyway, to end off, Rulani must learn to be humble at times. Rulani must learn that, expectations are there. Don't add on to the expectations unnecessarily. And he must learn that it's a results business, not a talking business, especially out there. Not a talking business. It's not a business where you're coming in and your poems are what people are going to eat. At some point, they're going to ask for results. Coach Pitso understood that when he joined Ahly. He understood. In fact, that Champions League actually saved his job because he hadn't won the league that year, for example, the following year. He understood. Everybody understands that this is all results. You can only talk for so long. But in any case, guys, thank you so much for joining me. It was meant to go through other topics. But wait, before you go, I did an interview with Utwa Stadler, Mupra JT. We had some great conversations. In hour 30, we delve into a lot of things. He's one of the guys that has been overseas. I asked him about him coming back and homesickness. He's been at Mamelodi Sundowns. He was there when Tate Motsepe was taking over. Some incredible insights about that time at Mamelodi Sundowns, how things were changing and how the attitude was brought in by the coach. We spoke about his time at Kaizer Chiefs and how he, in his words, it's so much different than everybody else. It's so much bigger than you might imagine. The pressures, all of the things. We discussed so many things. Why the jersey is heavy. There's so many conversations. There's so many conversations that we had with Upra J. So it's an incredible conversation about mentality, about all of these things. So please, if you can support me, go on over to YouTube, the Overthinking Football Show on YouTube, and you can watch that interview. It's also a branded thing. So because it's branded, guys, whenever you see something branded, whether it be on YouTube, on TikTok, wherever, watch it 700 times. Like, share, comment. Even if you comment 600 times, please, it helps the brands when they need to come back. If you have the time, also head on over to Instagram and give me a follow there, because like I said, with brands and things, they look at those type of things. But anyway, guys, no, it's not true. It hasn't been confirmed. Anything about Pirates hasn't been confirmed. There was no secrets. There was no secrets, Busaro. Guys, I'll see you then. I'm not going to be in tomorrow. I'll be back on Thursday. Bye, everyone.